But freedom doesn't come free.
Sweet liberty!
Scenes like these are happening all over the galaxy right now. You could be next. That is, unless you make the most important decision of your life.
Prove to yourself that you have the strength and the courage to be free. Join the Helldivers.
I need stamps!
As of recording this video, I've played 150 hours of this game.
Liar!
At this point, I feel like I've had enough time for those warm, special feelings of novelty to wash away a little bit. At least enough for me to notice some of this game's flaws and to get a good handle on what the live service model is going to look like going forward. However, something that I want to mention real quickly at the beginning of this review is that this is being recorded about 2-ish months after the game's release. And despite feeling like I have a pretty good grasp of what this game is, I can't really speak to how this game is going to look a year, 2 years, 5 years out into its lifespan. So far, we've seen a fair bit of play between the community and our game master Joel, as well as 2 new war bonds. Now, what is a Joel? Who is a war bond?
Wait a minute. Strike that. Reverse it. Thank you.
Don't worry, I'm gonna get to it. But just, given that this is a live service game, be aware of when I made this. Last thing before we get into this video has a sponsor. NordVP. No, I'm just kidding. It's you, the viewers. I am super happy that anybody watches my stuff, and I love making videos. But most of you guys, unfortunately, are not subscribed. So before we get into the meat of this review, please go down to the doobly-doo below this video and click subscribe. It really means a lot to me. It helps me kind of penetrate the algorithm and get my videos in front of more eyes. Also, it's free, just like hitting the like button. Now that I'm past that 150 hour mark, there's also a little bit of bad and a little bit of needs improving. First things first, let's talk about the story of this game. Now, if you've already played the game and you're just coming here to watch a review, you might be asking, what story? There's no campaign in this game, right? Well, I kind of think that the story of Helldivers 2 is that of its community. You see, whenever you log into Helldivers 2, where you start on any mission or jump on any of your friends' ships, you're going to have to go over to this big table with a map of the galaxy where you select your mission. The missions available at any given time are determined by how various campaigns are being progressed by players across a bunch of different planets in our galaxy. And whether planets are taken over by the evil bugs or they're being liberated from the commie bots, that's all determined by how the player base performs in their missions on these fronts. So in Helldivers, we, the community, are collectively the protagonist. And there's no time when you're going to feel that more than when you and your squad launch from your ship in orbit down to a planet's surface. The way the music kicks in at just the right beat, honestly, words can't do it justice. You're just going to have to listen for yourself. As awesome as this glorified loading screen is, it's really just a taste of what's to come, which is where this game really shines. If you keep an eye on gaming-related social media, you have to know what I'm talking about right now. The emergent gameplay on missions in this game is wild, and ever since launch, I've seen tons of awesome clips and videos of players doing everything from taking out massive bugs, Hell Titans, with their last rocket, to players jumping on top of automaton tanks to avoid its cannon, and then dropping a grenade to blow it up. The devs have done an absolutely great job at giving players the tools to make these moments as epic or meme-worthy as possible.
Let's close on something beautiful. For freedom.
Hang on, I'm thirsty, and I have to drink water because my mouth is getting dry. Okay, here we go. Oh, this is gonna be tough. Okay, hold on. Oh. The gunplay in this game is some of the best I've ever seen, with weapons being slower to aim the heavier they are, but packing like a really strong kinetic punch that really comes through in the visuals, not to mention the haptic feedback you'll feel on a PS5 DualSense controller. This game was made for PC and PS5, and as mad as Xbox fans are going to be about that, holy god, it feels great when you're using a PS5 controller. But beyond firearms, players can call on stratagems during missions. These can be anything from extra weapons or supplies to orbital strikes or stationary turrets that you can use to back you up. To use stratagems, you'll have to briefly stow your weapon while you punch in a fighting game combo code into a throwable device that lets you target where you want your stratagem delivered. As fun as the firearms are, and as much as I want to talk about how cool it feels to shoot them, stratagems are where this game gets really, really wild. Being able to call down gas or orbital lasers or 500 kilogram nukes, the stratagems are really the thing that opened this game up to like the wide variety of emergent gameplay that you'll see online. And as far as missions go, that's kind of it. The mission objectives sometimes go beyond your typical hold this position or capture a location or an item, but that's kind of all there is in terms of ingredients. And while my description can go by pretty quick, seeing it come together in missions is where this game really, really shines. Whether my squad and I are mowing down hordes of bugs or diving for cover as automatons pick us off with rockets one by one, the game is firing on all cylinders during missions, and they can quickly change between being epic to hilarious and back again in the blink of an eye. Let's make sure the skull is visible. Damn it. No, that side is up. Hang on. This side. Yeah. Yeah. Hang on, make sure the scarf is just a little bit on top of it. It's so finicky. Dude, I have such respect for people who like cosplay now. Holy God. Okay. Completing these missions rewards players with in-game currency to spend on new stratagems and gear. Now is probably as good a time as any to talk about war bonds. War bonds are kind of like this game's version of a battle pass. You can purchase these with your IRL money or farm in-game currency to buy them, though I will say that will take a considerable amount of time. Each war bond consists of a few pages of unlockable gear and cosmetic items that can be purchased with currency you earn from doing missions, and that's it. That's kind of the basic grind of this game. I will point out that the base game, which costs $40, comes with a 10-page war bond, which allows you to unlock a pretty good variety of weapons and armor. And the 3-page war bonds, the additional ones, so far they've been 3 pages, and so far they seem to be coming out monthly. Now, this could change. I could see that workload piling up quickly for Arrowhead Studios. I could see them running out of ideas for things to put in war bonds. But so far, their release strategy has been consistent, and I have to say I'm impressed. Each warbond has a little theme represented by the weapons and armors in it, like this month's, which just released, has a focus on explosive weaponry. I think it's called like Democratic Detonation or something silly like that. And I have to say too, it feels weird to gush over what are basically battle passes, but I will add also that Arrowhead has said that these will never expire. So even if a $10 monthly battle pass seems a little steep to you, one, they're optional. While the weapons are pretty fun, they usually aren't a huge upgrade over what you've already unlocked in the base game. Definitely not pay to win going on here. Two, although it'll be a lot of farming, you can unlock them with currency earned in game. So you technically don't have to spend any money on these. And three, you'll never miss the opportunity to finish unlocking everything in a war bond. I can't believe this is something that I'm praising a game for, but I've already made a video ranting about this, so you can go check that out when you're done here. Okay. Make sure those skulls are visible. This is the absolute worst. This is the worst idea I've ever had in my life. Don't ever let me do this again. This is terrible. Completing your mission objectives will also reward the community with progress towards liberating planets. But it's important to point something out here. We're not just fighting against a pre-programmed set of objectives, something that a lazier studio definitely would have done. Our progress is continuously monitored by the devs so that our in-game enemy factions react to our progress in a realistic way. In fact, Arrowhead announced on social media shortly after the game's release that an employee named Joel is acting as our game master, which, granted, doesn't make the game itself any more or less fun to play, but I think it's a cute touch. I think it helps the community feel like we have our enemies in the game, and we have kind of like a real life opponent outside of the game as well. Recently, as of recording this video, Helldivers successfully pushed the automatons out of our system completely, only to have them launch a surprise counteroffensive like a day or two later, which is a really cool, really unique idea, and it's been really funny watching the community react to these developments, like on social media. However, this is probably a good area for me to point out where some of the cracks are starting to show, for me at least, because while tweets and Reddit posts are fun to look at and give me a fun distraction when I'm at work, these Galactic Battlefront developments do lack like a certain panache in game. I know it's not fair to compare Helldivers to a single-player campaign-focused game like a Halo or something. Helldivers' lack of cutscenes or even a campaign at all is really felt strongly when text notifications and an updated map are all the game uses to convey what should be like big, dramatic turning points. This is a good time also to mention that many people, myself included, kind of are or might be a little disappointed to not see like a feature length or even like a shortened campaign in this game. And for the record, I do think like a short campaign would be an awesome piece of DLC in the future, though I'm not going to hold my breath for that. But it's important to point out here, this game released at a $40 price tag with fairly gentle monetization strategies. I think that's important to keep in mind when we talk about things like the lack of a campaign mode, especially, right? Now, some people might not feel too forgiving just because this game costs only $40. And fair enough, it's a live service game after all, right? And there's no shortage of live service games that cost less than 40 buckaroos. A lot of them, even some of the best ones, are completely free to play.
Your dog shit. Oh my god, say hi to Jesus for me. You're literally
This keeps falling. And oh my god. And now my other shoulder pad just fell off. The shoulder pad just fell right off. Kill me, Jen. Oh my god. Yeah, my shoulder pad just fell off, but whatever. We're pushing through. All right, I can't. Having so many good free-to-play live service games definitely makes Helldivers feel like it's residing in a weird area. This game really does take advantage of being live service, but it also makes you feel like you bought a complete package with your initial purchase. So keep that in mind, because here we go. In no particular order, my list of complaints or things that I think kind of need improving in the game. Holy shit, you can tell this script is old because the first thing on my list is a connection/server issues. Yeah, if you aren't aware, launch for this game was wild. It ended up being way more popular than they thought it was going to be. And so for the first few weeks, it was really difficult to log in. Like, I remember hearing stories of people sitting for hours in queue trying to get into a server. Fortunately, I think those times are over. I know that was a big focus for the first few weeks, and it seems that the server capacity has mostly been solved. Water. I'm almost out of water. Oh my God. Second on my list, this is still an issue, I think. Squad reloading. So in this game, one of the coolest features, one of the like the more unique things, is how players can call down weapons as part of their stratagems, and some weapons, particularly like really heavy weapons that pack a big punch, will come with a backpack, and that backpack is what carries like the extra ammunition, because sometimes those weapons can be like single shot weapons that you only use once before you need to reload them. And one of the cool features in this game is that you can have other players pick up those backpacks, and then they can attach to you while you're firing your weapon, and they can do speed reloading for you. So you don't have to fire a rocket from your bazooka and then just be empty or sit there for 2 minutes and get swarmed while you're reloading your bazooka, right? It's a cool idea, but I think there's kind of a problem with it. And that is that you can only have that speed reloading if the other player reloading you is the player that happens to have that backpack. I think a really cool idea that they could implement would be to have the player who's carrying that heavy weapon from the stratagem also carry the backpack, and a squad mate can walk up to them, any squad mate, not just one designated one, but any of the 3 squad mates that you could potentially have should, I think, in my opinion, be able to walk up and speed reload for you. Think about it, right? It makes sense. If you're the person carrying a heavy weapon on your shoulder and you also have your ammunition on your back, then it would be really easy for someone to come up. Can't move my arms very well in this stupid armor. But someone would come up, place their hand on your backpack, grab the rocket, and just lift whoop, into your rocket, and there it goes. That should be how speed reloading works. The idea that someone could walk up, pull a thing off of their back, I mean, I can kind of do it now because this shoulder pad fell off. But this arm, no way, dude. I'm not getting to whatever's on my back. And if the shoulder pad was back on this arm, it wouldn't be going either. It doesn't make sense, really. And it kind of sucks because it limits your speed reloading option to like one designated partner. I don't know. People might disagree with me. People might have good reason to disagree with me. If you do, leave it in the comments. But I think that would be a really cool feature change for the game. I think it would make sense, and I think it'd be really cool. Okay, hang on. This thing is. Hang on. Next, I'd also like to see a little bit more in game for you to grind for, or at least something to make the grind feel a little bit more worth it. I think right now, a lot of the good equipment feels very front loaded, which in some ways is fine because it means that players who are new to the game can quickly get all the good weapons and the really strong things so that they're not being completely outclassed by their squad mates. They can feel like they're participating in the fun too. But I think the issue that I have is that oftentimes I will complete a mission. It's like my third mission of the day. I got like a nice big payout of medals. I want to go to my war bond and I want to purchase the next special primary weapon on the next page. And I buy it and I feel really cool because it's a cool looking new weapon. Maybe it shoots plasma or lasers or something. And I feel like this should be a fun time. And then I take it on a mission and it kind of sucks. And then I end up going back to using my shotgun or my SMG or whatever. I think that's a bad feeling. And I don't know of a great solution to it, but I don't love it. I don't love that feeling of working up to unlock the laser rifle, and then the laser rifle kind of feels like ass and doesn't do that much damage. It's just a shitty feeling. One solution maybe they could implement would be on later pages in a battle pass, you can also unlock like attachments, like a vertical foregrip or a new sight for your gun. Although I would be careful about doing something like that if I was in charge of the game. You might find that some guns only become, worth using when they're fully kitted out. And I think that could be bad. That could definitely hurt like the new player experience where you've just bought the game, you're excited to jump in with all your friends, and your guns are just way underpowered compared to theirs. I would hate to see that happen. So, thirsty. God, I'm so cringe. I hate myself. I want to die. I'm just kidding. Shh, don't put that in the video. Okay. Another thing. I think more needs to be done to implement the feeling of there being a game master. For example, maybe during a mission, an in-game voice-acted message could come over your comms from like your fleet commander or something, saying very explicitly, unambiguously, I don't know, some message like, "There was an accident in your dropship hangar. Your Pelican is running late. It's now going to be 4 minutes before your extraction." Or like a voice just barely coming through over some static, warning us that the bots have placed a jammer blocking your stratagems. Right as the static completely overtakes the voice, drowning them out completely. You get the idea. What I'm saying is I think there are things that they could implement to this game to make battlefields feel a little bit more dynamic. Speaking of battlefields, the environments of planets are getting a little stale. I think right now most of what we've seen has been snow planets, desert planets, forest planets, jungle planets, red forest planets, a black and white jungle, a nighttime jungle. You get the idea. Seeing something like urban environments or suburban environments, I think would make sense, right? A lot of the planets that we're on have been colonized by humans, and I think that would go a long way towards having the environments actually affect gameplay. I'm not saying the environments don't vary at all. They do a little bit, but considering that this is a live service game that wants to retain players for a good long while, I think they need a bit more here. Last complaint, and this is more of like a half complaint or something that could change, and actually already has changed a little bit, is going to be the weapon balancing. A lot of weapons seem kind of pitifully weak, especially at higher difficulties. And while, of course, we have stratagems and grenades and other ways of dealing with enemies, these also get restricted at higher levels. At least stratagems do quite often. It makes running more common than actually fighting sometimes. And I don't mind struggling to overcome a challenge in games. At the highest difficulties, this game can feel like it's almost like a different game completely. In my opinion, a shooter should feel like a shooter, I think, at all difficulties. So far, my experience has often been that at the highest difficulties, this is a game about running, dodging, and avoiding, and at like the lower to mid difficulties is when the shooting hordes of enemies actually really shines. However, they've already been making like adjustments to weapons and armor as well. I want to be clear about that because I think this is one of those areas where the review could be a little bit dated, so just keep that in mind. We're getting the last thing. Nice. It's literally just being held on by tape. It's so fucking dumb. Okay. Here we go. I think we're solid. Jesus, there's that camera shake again. All right, Jen, home stretch. Here we go. Ready? And also keep in mind that none of the things that I've complained about have really stopped me from having fun this game. And I almost feel like it's unfair to call them complaints. Maybe I should call them like desperate reasons to not give this game a perfect score. Despite the complaints, I have a very positive feeling about this game. A lot of good stuff. The gameplay, very, very, very good. The music, fantastic. Something that's often overlooked in video games, but here it's just shining through. It's amazing. It's very fairly priced, I think, at $40, and the monetization is very light. And for the bad, I feel like most of those things are kind of nitpicky and maybe even like a little bit divisive. If you don't agree with me, let me know. But that's kind of it, guys. I've thought a lot about giving this game a score like a 9 out of 10, but there's two reasons why I won't. One, this game is better than a 9 out of 10, but it's not perfect. It's not a 10 out of 10. And the second reason I don't want to give it a score is because I'm not really a reviewer. That's not really what I do. In fact, this review is the first one I've ever done on this channel, partly because the channel's pretty new, but also because ordinarily going this in-depth on a game, it's just not really my thing. However, I think that says something. Me making a review of this game in itself shows how special this game is, or I think so at least. I grew up on a lot of couch co-op shooter games. Some of my favorite early video game memories of going over to my friends' houses to play Halo, Call of Duty Zombies, Gears of War Horde mode, and I love reminiscing about those times. And it kind of makes me sad that that era is kind of over for me. I'm an adult now. I have a full-time job outside of doing online content, and a lot of my friends live in other states. Helldivers 2 is the closest I've come in a long time to getting back that feeling I had on my couch, surrounded by my friends, freaking out, laughing, screaming, and having fun with a game that we're all playing together. It may not be perfect, but goddamn, it hits a very special part of my brain that just doesn't get hit very often anymore. All right, that's all I've got for you guys today. Have you picked up the game yet? Are you thinking of picking it up? Do you disagree with anything I've said in the review so far? Leave all that stuff in the comments down below the doobly-doo. I read each and every one of them. I can't wait to hear what you guys think. Till next time. I'm so sorry. I just did that into the microphone too. Fuck. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.